There is a controversy in our nation spreading around the world today called the outer darkness controversy, or the outer darkness teaching. Matthew 25. Verse 30, and cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Is the unprofitable servant a believer or an unbeliever? Let's look at the trend of Jesus' teaching. Back up with me, if you will, to Matthew chapter 8. You remember the story. Jesus entered Capernaum. There was a centurion there who pled with him to come and heal his servant. We see a lot of the characteristics of this Gentile warrior in the fact that he was compassionate and concerned for his servant. Most people would have just said, kill him and get me another one. He asked the Lord to come, or Jesus said, I will come, in verse 7. The centurion said, I am not worthy. Here is one of the hallmarks of faith, which is humility. I am not worthy that you should come under my roof. Only speak the word. So there is a trust in the authority of the Lord's word, the power of his word. And then, of course, there's authority orientation. I am a man under authority, and I have soldiers under me. And with this, Jesus responds by marveling. We only see 2 times in the Gospels that Jesus marveled. One is here at the faith of a Gentile centurion, and the other time is when he marveled at the unbelief of the Jews. 2 things amazed him. By the way, since he is God, and since he is sovereign, don't you think it's a little weird that he would marvel at their unbelief if he never chose them to believe and never gave them the gift to believe? There's something in my 6-year-old mind that just can't reconcile that. So Jesus marvels and says, assuredly I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel. And I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Why are they coming from the east and the west? East and west from where? Remember, the Bible is always Jerusalem, Israel centered. East and the west refers to Gentiles, not Jews. Many will come from the east and the west and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, but the sons of the kingdom will be cast into outer darkness. Does this sound familiar? There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, one teacher says that we have to take sons of the kingdom here as referring to believers. The only other time that we have the use of the phrase sons of the kingdom in Matthew, it is Jesus telling a parable about a field, and a man sowed good seed in his field, and an enemy came and sowed tares, and the Son of Man is the sower, and he sowed good seed, and they are the sons of the kingdom, and the enemy came and sowed tares. So because Jesus said the good seed is the sons of the kingdom, we have to believe that they are believers. However, who is he talking to? He's talking to Jews. And he's talking to Jews from the framework that their entire culture was based on, which is the Old Testament. Turn with me, just so that I can refute this ridiculous argument, to Isaiah chapter 5. Isaiah, the prophet, 700 years before Jesus came into the world, anticipated this parable. And Isaiah was quite a singer. As a matter of fact, I think there are 5 songs that Isaiah sings in the book of Isaiah. This is one of them. Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1, now let me sing to my well-beloved, the song of my beloved regarding his vineyard. My well-beloved has a vineyard on a very fruitful hill. He dug it up and he cleared out its stones, and he planted it with what? The choicest vine. Would you say that's good seed? I would say that's good seed. He built a tower in its midst, as he also made a winepress in it, and he expected it to bring forth good grapes, but it brought forth wild grapes. Verse 3, now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge please between me and my vineyard. What more could have been done to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Why then, when I expected it to bring forth good grapes, did it bring forth wild grapes? The argument about the good seed falls to the ground, don't you think? Back to Matthew chapter 8. Verse 13, Jesus then said to the centurion, "Go your way as you have believed, so let it be done for you." I mentioned that one of the tactics that we have to use in interpretation is the ability to distinguish things that differ and to correlate things that are the same. We are going to correlate something that's the same in each of these parables that we look at, but we also have to learn to distinguish. What is Jesus distinguishing between here? And I'll give you a little hint to help you along. Is he distinguishing between great faith and little faith, or is he distinguishing between faith and unbelief? The centurion had great faith, and Jesus marveled at his great faith, but the issue is not great, the issue is faith. I have not found such great faith. This guy has great faith, not even in Israel. You understand? You see the distinction. Would you say then that in the picture of those coming from the east and the west, that would refer to believers? What kind of believers? Gentile believers. Who are those who are being cast into outer darkness? They're the sons of the kingdom. Remember virgins? Virgins is used of Israel in the Old Testament. Servant is used of Israel in the Old Testament. They are by right sons of the kingdom. But unbelieving sons of the kingdom, as Paul points out in Romans 9, by the way, the idea of election being God picking some and rejecting others, the stronghold is Romans 9. And in Romans 9, you start out at the beginning of Romans 9 with Israel being the elect, and you end up at the end of Romans 9 with Israel being the non-elect. Try to figure that one out. It's because of their unbelief. So, many Gentile believers will come from the east and the west and the north and the south, and they are going to gather in and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, and unbelieving Jews are going to be cast into outer darkness. By the way, the outcome here, the curse, if you will, is exactly the same. Outer darkness, weeping and gnashing of teeth.